What's up guys, Tyler Garner here from Standout Social, and in this video today I'm really excited to bring to you our step-by-step strategy of how we are launching our CBO campaigns profitably, how we test, how we scale, the rules that we use, and everything else in between. So one thing that we found within the communities that we're in, with a lot of people that reach out to us with questions or their biggest blocks, is that they don't know how to use CBO and use it correctly, because it's got a lot of strong features, but it's also got a lot of issues. And so we thought it would be worthwhile to bring to you how we're doing it, because everything that we do is within a process and within a set structure. And just to give some context over like how much testing we've done with this, we've spent over hundreds of thousands of dollars just on this process to get it right, step by step, what we do. It's very similar to the ad set budget process that we use, with a few tweaks to incorporate minimums and maximum spends. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, then let me just go ahead and get straight into it to show with you. This might take a little while, so make sure you strap in. I'll make sure that there's captions so you can watch it wherever you want. Save this video, comment below, do whatever you need to do to make sure that you can see this video again and again, because I guarantee you that this will be one of the most valuable videos you'll ever see. All right, let me go ahead and shrink myself down here. Move myself to the side and move myself here, and let's kick this thing off. So I'll give you an overview first, and I'll show you what it looks like from a bird's eye view. As you can see, there's quite a lot to it. All right. Now, might seem a bit complex, but this is the biggest issue I find before anything else, is that people don't understand that in order to scale, you actually have to do a lot. You've got to get a lot of things right and a lot of things tested in order to get to $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 a day. It doesn't just happen miraculously. Most people don't even have the right systems to get to $1,000 a day. And if that's you, it's perfectly fine. It is honestly one of the most normal things. The biggest block that people seem to face is around that $1,000 a day mark. They don't know what to do, and it just ends up either being extremely profitable one day or extremely unprofitable the next. And so this will help you overcome that. Now, the first things first, let's get straight into how do we test? How can you test with CBO and let it effectively test or properly test without allocating all of the budget to one ad set? Because if you've ever tried using CBO in the past, the chances are you've had it blow out your budgets, blow out your spend, and literally it'll prioritize one or two ad sets, and you might have like 5 to 10. So how do we do it, and how can you also make it work? So let me go zoom right on in here so I can share it with you. The first thing that we do with CBO is we break out our tests per campaign. So if you've seen the ad set video, if you haven't, once again, you'll see it somewhere, because I guarantee if this is an ad, you're going to get retargeted with those videos. So it's going to be really valuable. Check it out. So the way it works is this. We have a minimum of around 3 to 4 campaigns. Typically we'll start there. If the budgets don't really permit it, maybe we'll go 2, but there's always at least more than 1 campaign. And so this is all top of funnel testing, right? So the minimum is always around $100 per ad set. And the way it works is this. We will have 5 ad sets. Each of these ad sets are different audiences. So number 1 is one audience, number 2 is one audience, number 3 is a different audience, number 4 is a different audience. And for this example, just to keep it really, really easy, let's say number 1 is a cat, number 2 is dog interest, number 3 is a bird interest, and let's say that these two are lookalike audiences. Okay, very, very easy to understand. Inside each campaign, the way that we test in order to get the most accurate result is we do not let Facebook decide which ad performs best or which creative performs best, because although Facebook has an extremely intelligent machine, it doesn't always get it right. And if early signals can change day by day, you could get the wrong creative, getting the wrong amount of spend and the wrong prioritization. Okay, so the way we do it, like I said, is by per campaign will be a different creative to be able to segment out each individual creative so that we can identify very quickly from a campaign level which performs best. Also, why we use the exact same audiences throughout every single campaign, because ad set 1 here is the same as ad set 1 here is the same as ad set 1 here. These are the exact same audiences, because we want to also test at the same time as testing creatives. We want to know which audiences perform best, but not just which audiences perform best, which perform best for what creative. Because if you've tested thoroughly enough, you should already know that each audience can respond differently to a different creative, depending on age, depending on gender, depending on interests. And it's your duty as a marketer or a business owner or whoever you might be watching this video to test that, to get that understanding so that you know how to best serve your audience. Because the better you serve your audience, the better the sales you're going to get. All right. So here's the next step. Once we've tested all of the creators or we set it up, we'll always have 2 duplicates in there. They're all sharing the same post ID. There's only one original which gets set up in a Creative Hub campaign. So we have no originals in here. They're all duplicates of sharing the same post ID, just so we don't have any mistakes or any mistaken duplicates that are not all stacking the same social proof. Once again, if you're not familiar with how to share post IDs, that's going to have to be for another video because that's not for this one. So creative one is all creative one here, 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 and here. It can be an image, a video, whatever it might be. That's up to our creative team to decide, or our media buyers to decide, and we just plop it in there. And we always have 3. Now, the reason we have 3 is the audiences, Facebook optimizes or enters the auctions at the ad level, meaning before bids, before everything else, it's going to assess your ad and enter you into different auctions, and it's never going to compete with itself. So for us to be able to run 3 ads, 9 times out of 10, all 3 will get spent and all 3 will get different results. Some may get great results, some may get bad results, and some might just get no results at all, or a very average kind of result. Now, the reason we want 3 is because Facebook will see which ones perform best and prioritize those. And if it doesn't, we're able to go in and turn the ads off that are bad and keep the one that is getting the best possible result running because it's in a different auction. It's in a better auction, and we want to reward that one and keep it running, okay? So that's how we do it. And that's, once again, if you're not currently doing that, just as a small hack, you want to go and do that as soon as possible. Don't run just 1 creative, go and run 3. Or if you, at the very least, go and test the difference, and I guarantee you're going to see a better result. So then, like I said, each next campaign has a different creative, different variable that we're testing. The audiences stay the same, but this is creative 1, this is creative 2, and this is creative 3. It can be carousels, it can be videos, it can be collection ads. It really just depends on our client and also what our media buyers decide. Okay, but that's the setup and the process. Now, all good and well to have a minimum spend of $100, but how can we effectively and correctly get an even distribution? Because obviously with ad sets, we can just go ahead and select the budget that they want to spend. With testing, you want every variable to be controlled, and CBO gets in the way of that. Well, at least it did. And this is how we control it. So if you come down here, I'll explain this one in a second. If you come down here, what you're going to see is our maximum budget and our minimum budget. Let me go ahead and zoom in just to make sure that everyone can see it. So the way this calculation works, if we're spending a minimum of $100 per CBO, what we're going to be doing is setting the max budget with this equation. So it's going to be the max budget equals the total budget that we're spending on the CBO divided by the total number of ad sets. So it's going to pull an average. So if we know that we're spending $100 and we know that we've got 5 ad sets, we know that our maximum spend per ad set has to be $20, okay? And then, unfortunately, your minimums can't be the exact same because otherwise it'd be super controlled. But by setting a maximum that it cannot go over that cap, it's going to distribute the spend elsewhere in order to make sure that everything hits a maximum of $20. So here's how it works. For minimum budgets, Facebook has set that you have to have at least a 10% differential between the max and the minimum, meaning that in order to determine what your minimum budget needs to be, because you always want to set a minimum and a maximum when doing this, you need to determine that your minimum budget is whatever the max budget equals, and then you times that by 0.9, and that's going to give you your 90% statistic, and then you use that one. Okay, so that's what your stat's going to be. So for this example, your maximum would be 20, your minimum would be 18, and you run that per each exact ad set. Okay, if you can't keep track of that, just save that. And so that next time you go to set up a CBO campaign, you can use that calculation because that is the only way that you can set it so that no ad set is going to spend over that amount and everything's going to get an even distribution of ad spend. It's the only way to control it. Okay, it's also how you can use it for retargeting or middle of funnel to make sure that your CBOs will spend a controlled amount. It gives you full control, which is usually what CBO doesn't allow. Now, in order to get to scaling, which is further down the track, but just to pre-frame it now, we change these rules up a little bit, which is really, really cool. And I'll show you that. So it gives it a little bit control, but then we let go once it's got a bit of data, and I'll show you how that works in a little bit. Now, here are some different audiences that we use. Just to give you some understanding, our rule of thumb is that we always want to run a minimum of 3 lookalikes in these tests, whatever it might be, whatever we might have available. So 3 stars is high priority, 2 stars is medium, 1 star is low. So we have a customer list, our top 20% are 20% page viewers. And let me just pause here and say, if you're not using that audience right now, then you need to go ahead and go do that right now. It's in analytics. I can post another video to share with this. If you haven't already seen it, just go check the page or my page. You'll find it somewhere. And so what this does is following the Pareto rule principle of the 80-20, that 20% of your results or 20% of people will bring 80% of your results, and vice versa. Essentially, what this does is it not only follows the 80-20 rule, it actually goes a little bit further and applies it twice, meaning that there are specific customers out there who are not only frequent visitors, but they're ongoing visitors as well. So what that means is essentially they're coming back to your page and visiting your website and visiting your website and visiting other pages. Their page views are higher than your average customer. So when you're building lookalikes, yeah, sure, you can build lookalikes out of page viewers over, someone who hits your page once or twice, or maybe they initiate checkout. But what this allows you to do is go deeper than that. It allows you to find the top 4% of page viewers who might have hit your site 10 or 20 times. And if you've got an audience size of somewhere between 500 to 1,000 minimum, that's going to allow you to find the cream of the crop of your audience. And if you're not already doing that, go ahead, but that video is not for this right now. So I'm going to stop there. If you want more of that, once again, just go find it yourself. It'll be on the Standout Social page, so you can click above to go find that, or search Standout Social to go find it. But it will be there. Now, next thing, we'll use then 2 times interest. So it might be competitor brands, like obviously interest, or we might use audience insights to be able to find some key audiences. Okay. Now, one thing I didn't touch on is how we're also using dynamic creative. So Facebook obviously unveiled a thing that they call the Power 5. Now, I'm not going to sit here and talk to you about Power 5. If you want to look it up, it's Google's job to be able to show you that. Now, the way it works, the exact same principles apply. The only difference is the variables that we've got in here, meaning the creatives, and also maybe even potentially a couple of different copy variables that we might want to test. We're actually going to include it here. So in here, there is only one copy variable being tested at a time, meaning that if you use something very basic, very generic, that's going to go across the board to everybody, while still using best practice in order to try and drive as many sales as possible. The copy testing comes next, so we'll get to that in a second. Okay, this all has the same copy. In here, you might add a couple of more variables so long as it ties in and you're not using too many variables with minimal budget. Once again, there's another video about how to set up the right budgets for your dynamic creative. If you haven't seen it, go and find it. And that's essentially how the dynamic creative works. And so if we don't have enough budget for these 3, we'll simply start here. Most of the time, our clients do have a decent enough budget to work with. So, but I do want to be able to show you how to incorporate it both. So if you're watching this and you don't have the biggest budget in the world, but you still want to apply these principles, dynamic creative is going to allow you to do that. All right. So go ahead and add in all of your variables in there. Go and add a couple of different text variables as well, or copy variables, and go from there. Now, let's move on to stage 2, or how it looks. Okay. So once we've done all of that, okay, once that's done, what we're going to do is we're going to pull those winning audiences and creatives after around 48 to 72 hours. So 2 to 3 days is when we pull the winners. Okay. From there, we're going to start stage 1 testing next week. So we give it a week, and then we're going to do this again. And so our media buyers are constantly testing. Our clients will spend on average between 20 to 30% just on testing, not just to pull winners consistently, but because it actually works and it gets results. So the results is what's most important. So if we can help our clients get results whilst testing and worrying about scaling at the same time, and also doing all the retargeting and everything that we do, not only does it allow us to scale horizontally, but it's allowing us to pull more assets to move into our scaling campaigns at a later date. So we're always able to scale and grow and continue, and we never run out of creatives to spend, and our results never really seem to dip too much. All right, so we're going to move on. Now, the next part is we'll add them into a winning audiences, adding winning audiences into our winning audience spreadsheet, which we've created, which I can't show you because it's got a lot of confidential information of our clients. And then we also do it again to winning creatives for a winning creative spreadsheet for our clients. And once again, this is for our internal media buyers. I may share this in another video, I may not, but that's what we do. We store everything off of Facebook so that we can keep track of what works. If we ever need to go pull winners, we'll go ahead and do that. Then what we do is we move our winning ads into what's known as an incubator campaign. So it looks a little bit like this. Our incubator campaign is a PPE campaign. We'll use our winning audiences all combined together so long as it works. Obviously, if you're using lookalikes, they get one and interest get another, because you can't use the 2 together. It doesn't really work. We'll spend minimal, like $5 to $10 a day. It really doesn't matter if we use CBO or ad set here. Obviously, following the CBO principles, you would just set the budget at CBO level. And if you've got 2 ad sets, just once again, set the minimums and maximums exactly how we explained earlier. And then what we do is we add all of the winning creatives into these ad sets alone, because we don't care who it distributes the budget towards. And typically PPE campaigns distribute the budget relatively evenly. Okay, so we don't really mind. And essentially all we're trying to do here is keep our winners cooking, what we call cooking, or incubating in another phrase. And the reason being is we want to be able to pull these winners at any time to go and deploy them into our scaling campaign so that we can keep rotating our winners without burning everything out at the same time. Because a massive mistake people make is that they end up using all of their winning creatives at one time, meaning that they're all in circulation, meaning that your ideal audience is seeing all of your best creatives and all of your best copy all at the same time. And so if they're all running at the same time, typically the length of time that it takes for something to die out, which is anywhere between, depending on the audience size, 3 days to 2 weeks to 3-4 weeks if you've got a big enough audience, what's going to end up happening is it's going to start dying out. Okay, all of them will die out, and then you're constantly scrambling to finding a winner again and again and again, and that's a massive mistake. You want to actually incubate your winners and hold on to them. Okay, so we'll keep moving. Now, this is stage 2, so that was only stage 1. So congratulations for making it this far. Now move on to stage 2, okay? The next part is okay, so this is for our winning copy, all right? So stage 2 testing is all about copy, right? So this is how it works. So our image test is still going on, but what we've done now is we've pulled those winners. We know what creatives work, and now we want to see, can we improve our results by tweaking what our copy says? And so let's get stuck into it. We follow the same principle, meaning campaign 1, campaign 2, and campaign 3. So we still split it by campaigns. We still split based on the variables that do or don't work. Okay, and now what I've done for ease of use is I've color-coded the creative so that you can understand that each creative or each color is a different type of creative, meaning obviously image, video, carousel, whatever. We've pulled those winners and we've put them in here. Now we might pull those post IDs. Obviously, if this is the copy 1 that we used in the initial test, we're going to pull that and put it in here, right? These are just all our previous winners, and these are our past winning audiences. So we don't use all of the audiences if they're not all winners, but if they are winners, then we'll move all of them across, or we only move across 2, 1, 3, 5, however many audiences we've found that are actually working. Okay. Now into audience or campaign 2. Now campaign 2, same thing, same audiences, depends on how many winners that we have. But this time we've got all of the winning creatives. It could be one creative might have been the only winner, or we might have had 2, or we could have had 3 or 5, depending on how many tests we're running. Okay. So now we've got 1, 2, and 3. From here, what we're going to do is this is going to be a different copy. This copy might be along the lines of, wow, I love this, come and get this now link. This might be more along the lines of informative and say this revolutionary product does X, Y, Z and solves these problems. Click here to get it now. Completely different copy, and we want to see what's going to work better than the other. Okay, and then once again, self-explanatory. Ad copy 3 is going to do the exact same thing. So what we're trying to really refine and go deep on is what copy works with what creative, and how can we constantly improve our results even before we get to scaling. Because once again, if you can improve the gap between profitability and break even and stretch that gap, meaning that your results are better by reducing the cost per purchase, reducing other metrics like your CTRs, etc., then it's going to make it easier for us to scale and battle through Facebook volatility. Okay, but we'll touch on that on another video, I'm sure. But this is all just copy testing. And once again, following the same principles we followed before in order to control our spends, our maximum budget is going to be $20, our minimum budget is going to be $18, and our spend is still going to be $100 a day. Okay, now depending on clients' budgets, we'll determine how aggressive we go with this, or whether we keep our image testing or not. Most of the time we keep everything running, and that's usually because everything's working, or we only keep running what is working. And so it's still bringing profitable results, so our clients become happy to spend more on testing before we even get to the scaling phase. Okay. And so that's how that works. Once again, hopefully you've worked out that calculation. And if at any time throughout this video you have questions, by all means, type them below, and I'll either personally get to your questions or send us a message and I can get to that as well. And if you ever want some help or have any advice about what you're currently doing, then once again, drop us a message and we'll see if we can help. Now, once again, the next phase from here is identify leading poor performance indicators, and we'll touch on that in just a second. But once we've done that, we take our winners and add to winning creative sheet and the incubator campaign once again, which is in here. Okay, so we want to know what copy is working with what audiences. Once again, we'll probably already have our winning audiences stashed in here. We'll also want to add them into these if we've got any new variables or creatives. So for example, our winning creative would go in here, meaning it's the new copy, right? Not so much images, but the copy being a new variable that's now working. We're going to add it into our spreadsheet here, right? So the next phase, identify leading poor performance indicators. This means that other metrics in the funnel besides just your cost per purchase and your return on ad spend, day by day, Facebook changes and there's no denying that. And so what we do here is we want to identify what is a leading indicator for us. Is it poor CTR? Is it expensive cost per view content? Is it add to cart ratios? Is it initiate checkout costs? All of these elements start playing into how we're going to set up our rules. Our rules aren't set on a one size fits all approach. It's actually based on what's going to allow us to scale the best, or what's, based on this account, what are some leading poor performance indicators, and we're going to get to that. So let me go ahead and show you this one. Stage 3 is all about rule implementation, because by this point, we're looking to spend around $1,000 a day or more. And that is, in my opinion, the only time you start setting up rules. Sometimes a little bit less, like 700 or 600. More times than not though, around $1,000 a day is the only time you should start playing with rules, because that's where you're going to start seeing some consistent volatility, and also the only time where it's actually worthwhile. Otherwise, your rules are shutting off too early, or you're not spending enough for rules to actually be quantifiable. That is a conversation that we can have at another time. And as you can see, we've got ad rules and ad set rules. We're starting to slow down on our ad rules because we find that it's actually getting too much in the way. But that's a conversation for another time. And I just want to quickly touch on the kinds of rules that we still follow and the principles we follow for them. So we have all-day rules based on cost per purchase being greater than our KPI goals, and also our return on ad spend is less than what we want it to be. So we'll switch them off. Then we have all-day rules once again for spending greater than the cost per purchase. And then, we don't have any purchases at all, we're going to turn them off. If at any point that our ads are off, but our return on ad spend is actually better than the KPI, so something's kind of come through late, or we've had email marketing bring up a sale, we want to turn those ones back on because they're actually doing better than we initially expected. And then obviously if something's had spend yesterday that's greater than say $5, just depending on what rules you want to set on your account, we're going to turn those ads back on. If it's a bad ad and it's been turned off early, or we've even manually gone in and turned something off, that $5 metric means that we can intervene sooner, or we can set other rules further down the track that we don't let them spend too much so that they can't be turned back on. It's kind of like a kill switch, which once again, kind of technical. We won't get into that right now. Now, ad sunset, last 3 days. If the return on ad spend is less than the KPI, then switch off at 1 a.m. So that's where the whole spend thing will balance out, that it's not going to spend more than $5 before 1 a.m. ideally. So that's going to go ahead and turn off the bad ones. If that doesn't make sense, once again, the rule's not for that. I just want to kind of explain to you everything that we've got going on. The next step, the ad set rules. So it's like midnight rules, spend greater than $1 yesterday, turn it back, turn off or turn on. Actually, no, this is correct. So we do something a little bit different. We turn these off, and I'll get to that why. We've got a thing that we call a winning time curve indicator. So every account's different. There is a curve in performance where you can start seeing at what time of day things work better than the others. And there's a video on that. If it's not yet released, it will be released soon, and you'll see that soon. But what we use is a winning time curve indicator as to the average of your performance. Average of your account performance. What time of day does it go up? What time of day does it come down? And we set rules in between that. So we know when to turn ads on and we know when to turn ads off based on tighter rules or more relaxed rules. And yeah, it works really well. And we don't have the time here to go into detail. So I'll explain that in another video, which you will get access to and you will see. So we'll turn ad sets on if the spend yesterday was $1 at the right time. And once again, we got a training video for that, but you'll get access to that anyway. This is more for our media buyers to access. Now, the next one is all day. If the cost per purchase is less than the KPI, then you want to turn it back on. So that's just like a revive rule. Now we've got leading indicators switch off. Identify what events are leading indicators and set rules based on that, based on account KPIs. This is more custom. Once again, there's a training video on that. It's not as simple to explain. It just depends on each individual account, what works, what doesn't, and what kind of the maximum spends we can see will save an account per day than others. And once again, it's a little bit complicated to get into here. Maybe I'll shoot another video for that at another time. The next one is all day. So if it's spent greater than 2 times the purchase price and the purchases are less than 1, there's typically no saving that one, especially at certain times a day. So we're going to go ahead and turn that sucker off, right? The next one is all day. If the cost per purchase is greater than 2 times and the return on ad spend isn't where we want it to be, we will also turn that off. As it starts to creep up, there is a very low chance that it's actually going to be able to be saved, especially based on different KPI metrics, etc. All day, Return on ad spend, if it's greater than the KPIs, then we will turn it back on. And then also, once again, if the cost per purchase is less than our KPIs, well, we're also going to turn that back on, because if it's cheap purchases, ideally it's going to keep running up, and it can only take one sale to order a few items, whatever it might be, in order to bring the return on ad spend back to where we want it to be as well. Now, let's get into the juicy part. Let's get into scaling 1.1, and then we'll get into scaling 1.2. This is probably what a lot of you have come here for. That's all good and well to do testing, which is actually more important in my personal opinion. But now I want to share with you how we actually scale it, right? So similar kind of rule, as you can see, our winning audiences. Now this can keep going depending on how many winning audiences we have, so long as that we've got the budget to do so. And we actually have an we have a calculation that we use every time that is dynamic based on clients, based on ad sets, and how much we're going to spend on each individual account. And it's really, really cool, and it works incredibly well. And it ties in, it's not anything we've just invented. Essentially, it just follows best practice on how CBO wants to work. And it's just simple math. So let me go ahead and explain. The minimum spend on the CBO needs to be 2 times the minimum spend of all ad sets combined. So the minimum spend is 2x the average cost per purchase between each individual ad set. So if our average cost per purchase is around, let's say $50, then each ad set is going to have a $100 minimum. Okay, 10 ad sets, $50. Oh, here's an example here. 10 ad sets, $50 minimum spend is going to equal a $1,000 budget, right? As you can see, the minimum CBO budget is 2 times the minimum spend of all ad sets combined. So if the minimum spend on the ad sets is $50, that's $500. Then we need to 2 times that to get the maximum spend for the total CBO budget. Okay, just let that sink in. If you need to kind of like summarize that, or like look at this, either screenshot or pause this and just draw it out so you've got some understanding of it. But hold on to that because it's important. Okay, now what you'll see down here is that there's a minimum budget set on each individual ad set. Okay, the minimum budget on each individual ad set is 2 times the average cost per purchase. Here's how this all works. Okay, we have no max, meaning that these scaling budgets can spend as much as they like, as much as they possibly like. Here's how it works. So we can continue adding audiences, like all our winning audiences, etc., so long as that the budget's there for the client. And then we've got 4 creatives only inside that. Keep other creatives for rotations. Like I said, we rotate our winners. We don't burn them all at the same time. So we're winning creative 1, 2, 3, 4. Now these could be the same image or same video or carousel or whatever with different copy variations or vice versa. Really, it's just a matter of knowing what's in use right now and what isn't in use, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Now, here's how it works. And let me explain this in detail, how this works from a mathematical position and how it works within what CBOs are meant to do. We control the spend on these ad sets up until it's got at least 2 times purchases. And why it's 2 times is actually really, really important. This 2 times per purchase, or this 2 time purchase spend minimum, is based on our rules. And so our rules will kick in once it's spent that minimum, meaning if they aren't currently performing to the average of what we know our account performs and how many purchases they're supposed to have, they're going to be turned off before they get the chance to spend any more money. So if we're spending $1,000, the only ad sets that are going to continue to scale after that and continue to spend more money than the others are the ad sets that have performed either on par with good performance or better than good performance. So we might have all 4 turned off and 1 turned on. But we've got these rules turned on the entire day to make sure that these are controlled, so they're never going to be turned off or they're never going to overspend and lose results. And the minimum spends are in there so that they all spend an even amount before we let CBO run its course or let it be controlled. Okay, because CBO will just want to spend what it decides is the best possible ad set, but typically it doesn't always know best. And if anyone's run CBO before, you're going to probably know that yourself. And so what we do is we control it so it forces data in. So it forces spend in, so it gets enough data for the day before we let the algorithm and this machine learning run its course. But once it's done that, the rules have turned off, and then it's kind of like if we've got 5 or 10 ad sets in there and 30 or 50% of those have all been turned off, we're left with those that are performing well. And at that point, we just release the floodgates essentially, or open the gates so that Facebook can start spending where it decides performs best. Okay. If you need to just recap on that, because I understand it's actually quite a lot to understand. It's simple math, but if you need to understand the logic behind it, rewind this and just go through it again. And I find that writing something out, if I don't understand it, works best. But CBO is no joke. So that's the biggest thing, is CBO is no joke, and this is how we do it. This is the only way that it makes sense to let this machine learning and this, like what Facebook is forcing us to do, either in September or February, depending on how you've been running your account so far. It's the only way that it's going to work. Now let's move on, because obviously there's no Q&As in this. So we're going to move on. If you have any questions about that section, once again, feel free to just contact me, but it's pretty self-explanatory, I'd hope. Now, the next part. When creative fatigue from scaling campaigns, keep ad sets running and rotate creatives. Keep other ads in ad set, but just keep turned off. So that's something for another time. Let me go ahead and move on. So now we've got a couple of juicy CBO scaling methods that we can introduce at all different times. And I'm really excited to be able to share these with you as well. These have all worked at different times for us really, really well. So let me go ahead and explain these as easy as possible. So the minimums, the way the rules work and the minimum spends, etc., are all the same. It never changes. Okay. So that principle that you saw before, once again, I've never seen, out of all of the people I know, out of all the big spenders that I've spoken to, no one's doing that. And like I said, it's the only way that I have personally discovered that allows us to controllably spend CBOs and then give it the power once it's actually got decent data. Because Facebook's not dumb, but sometimes they just need to be controlled before we let it run its course. Okay. So the first way we run it is it's CBO campaign. It's all the one winning audience. Okay, it's all the one winning audience, meaning that if it's dog interests, this is dog, 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 and it's all the same age, same placements, everything. Okay. Now then we have 4 winning creatives, and rather than just go ahead and draw everything out massively, we follow the same principle where whatever the winning audiences are here or the winning creatives, we follow the same winning creatives here. Okay. And we do that all the way through. So it's all the same creatives following the same thing, that when they die out, we turn them off, we don't delete them, and then we'll rotate new ones in, all right? Minimum budget, once again, 2 times the average cost per purchase. The maximum budget is no max at this point as well, because we just want Facebook to spend as good as it sees fit. And there's other ways you can scale with that, like adjusting the minimum. If you only want 1 ad set per day to spend, just increase the minimum, which kind of forces it to have to spend the most. Especially if you know that it's doing better and you want to manually get involved. Just control the minimum, not the maximum. Okay. The next one, CBO method 2. Notes, manual bid, lowest cost bid cap. All right. No notes on this one, pretty straightforward. This one here, CBO campaign, once again, only the winning audience. So only the one type of audience in this one again. We just want to duplicate it because we want Facebook to find the best pocket of the winning audience through the audience selection, as well as through the creative selection, and also through the best bid, because these are all manual bids. Same minimums and maximums, don't need to go into that. The only difference is, if I can go into here, is we've got winning audience 1, bid cap 2 times our CPA, 2.5 times our CPA, 3 times, 3.5, 4, and 5 times our CPA. Okay. Hopefully that's pretty straightforward. The next one, repeat with all winning audiences. So CBO method 3. The next stage is this. We'll go, as you can see here. So this one applies here. So we repeat this whole process with all of our winning audiences, which might mean we have quite a few campaigns, but it's all of our winning audiences. And it's just another way to horizontally spread our budgets across while still knowing that we've got the right assets in there in order to allow us to scale. Okay. And once again, if we follow all of these, so if we follow this, if we follow this, if we follow this, and just those, and we're still testing, chances are, my friend, that you're going to be spending in excess of 3 to 5, most likely around $10,000 a day. And typically it's profitable. More times than not, it's either front end profitable, or by week 2, or however you run your systems, you will be profitable and it will be scalable at that. And that's how we control everything. Now let's move on to CBO method 3, because this is a bit different. So CBO campaign, once again, pretty self-explanatory. The only difference is rather than running up here, which is all of our winning audiences once, all we're doing is we're doing it twice. Okay, so this is going to jack the budget up a little bit higher, but essentially what it's going to allow us to do is it's going to allow us to make sure and guarantee that the winning audience we know is a winning audience is getting the best possible chance to perform well today, not tomorrow, not another day. It's allowing us to make sure that if the one audience or what winning audience 1 doesn't do well in this ad set, it gives us the ability to know that winning audience 1 is going to do well in this one, or at least by chance it's going to do well. Because once again, day by day volatility comes and goes. Sometimes one day it might do extremely well. The next day it might perform like a dog's breakfast, which is just rubbish, right? And so that is essentially how we do it. It was a bit of a marathon, but we finally got there. There is not much more to it, guys. There's other ways you can do it, like split out placements with the one winning audiences, which we haven't added in here because we're still playing with that. What you've seen in this spreadsheet, guys, just so you understand, is this is what we're doing right now, meaning that this is not theory. This is not something we've just thought of. This is the processes we follow for our clients right now. We spend around, over 500K a month at the moment for our clients, if not more, depending on obviously who we're working with and who's scaling and who's got different events coming up, etc. And so this is what works for us. This allows us to use CBO. We still use ad sets as well, and I'm going to share another video with that if you haven't seen it already. You will see it soon. And this is our Mosaic marketing method, or Mosaic testing matrix that we've gone on to name. And so if you've got any questions about this, you can comment below. There is a comment section. Let me go ahead and make myself a little bit bigger now. And yeah, that's essentially in a nutshell how we do it. I wish I could say that there's more to it, but I'm sure that's enough anyway. If you've got any questions about this, let me know. And fortunately, if you've made it this far, or even if you haven't, but you've got questions, I'm going to give you guys access to this framework so you can take it, you can download it, you can print it, you can study it. And if you've got any questions at all, you can let me know. But the only thing that you won't get access to is our creative audience spreadsheet, because once again, kind of confidential. But if you've got any questions other than that, comment below. Look in the comments. There should be a link. There might even be a link above, depending on where you're seeing this, like a little description or whatever. But yeah, guys, that's it. And I'm really glad I could share this with you. And like I said, if you've watched till the end, thank you for coming on the journey with me. Anything else, just let me know. Drop a comment, send me a message, reach out to me. But this is the number one way we've found to controllably scale with CBO and control the volatility without letting the machine take control until it has enough quantifiable data, and then tie rules into this as well. So only good performers can keep running and keep spending the way CBO wants it to. Yeah, feel free to watch this as many times as you like. Send it to your media buyers, tag your media buyers, do whatever you need to. And obviously, if you want our help, or you want to know if we can help you, then I'm happy to have that conversation. But at the end of the day, you've got our processes, have a look. And if it seems like too much, then hey, we might be able to be a good fit. But yeah, guys, until then, thanks for tuning in, and catch you in the next video.